Thinking to move into the Dallas area, but you're looking for something a little quieter than the big city? Well, in this video, we're going to take a map tour through two of the top relocation destinations in the metroplex. These family-friendly suburban growth hubs offer tons of brand new infrastructure and easy access to anywhere in DFW. This is going to be a local's take on everything from lifestyle and neighborhoods to commute times, so you know exactly what you're buying into. What if I told you could get a brand new house for less than $500,000 that's minutes from a lake in less than half an hour's drive from Dallas, Fort Worth, and the international airport? Well, you'd probably look at me like I was crazy, or you'd probably think I'm talking about Frisco, but I'll tell you right now, a lot of people who thought they were going to move to Frisco, Texas, ended up moving here instead. Now, I'm not crazy, and it's not Frisco, but it does exist. We're talking about Mansfield and Midlothian today, and I kind of lumped them in together because they're kind of growing towards each other. That being said, they each have their own different vibe and lifestyle, and we're going to be covering all of that today, as well as pointing out a few top-notch neighborhoods that you definitely want to check out if you're ever in the area. And if you want to learn a little bit more about them, we got videos on them. You can check that out after this. So where exactly are Mansfield and Midlothian? Well, they're actually right next to each other off of Highway 287. Now, if you're not familiar with the DFW area, let's take a look at the map here real quick. You can kind of get an idea of where they are relative to each other, at least. This is about a 10 to 12 minute drive from one city to the other, depending on traffic, but you're not looking at a very long jaunt from one side to the other. They share 287, and right between them is 360. Now, all of these are going to be a lot more relevant here in a minute. I just kind of want to get you guys familiar with the roadways. 67 also heads north off of Midlothian. And now why these roads are important, not just because they're the big highways outside of your city, but they also, if we zoom out here, connect to some very big names as far as cities go. Dallas is like, what, fourth largest city or fifth largest city, and then Fort Worth at 12th. You got 67 goes straight up into downtown Dallas. You got 287 that almost straight goes up into downtown Fort Worth. And then your 360 actually goes straight up. Goes straight up. And this is your international airport right here. The DFW International Airport is right there between like the HEB area. So you've got almost straight line access to all three of these. It looks like a really big distance, but in Texas, these are 70-mile-an-hour roads. You'll get there in no time. So it's actually an incredibly desirable area. We've had a lot of C-suite executives, like head chefs, doctors, pilots, and things like that actually move down to these areas, and not just because of the drive time. There's also a ton of development going in here that we'll talk about later, but that also kind of leads us into the next section, and that's like, what's the vibe of these areas to begin with? Because location, that's great, but if the vibe sucks or you just don't like the people there, you may not want to move there anyway. You might find an alternative. So if we actually come in here a little bit, let's start with Mansfield, because these are very different feels. They're like different sides of the same coin, but they are very much their own unique feel. Mansfield, first of all, I would say it hit its economic boom a lot earlier. So you've got a lot more built up shops, strip malls. The infrastructure looks a little bit more robust. All in all, like, because most of the traffic for this area actually came in from Fort Worth and Arlington, so they brought a lot of that money and people with them as well. So they blew up a little bit faster than Midlothian, which means you get a big city feel without the overwhelming, crushing pressure of, concrete hellscape everywhere you go. So it's a good, I would call it a strong suburban feel, but maybe with a little bit more pomp to it. And I say that only because once you see some of the houses, you'll be like, dang, you got a house that big for that much? Well, these guys, they knew how to manage their money. I mean, coming from top level executive type people, that makes sense. This is a really good area to buy as far as that goes. There's also a ton of stuff to do in Mansfield, tons of restaurants. But before we get into like the things to do, let's talk a little bit about Midlothian, because if that doesn't, if the cookie cutter suburban doesn't quite fit your mold, no pun intended, Midlothian may be a bit more your speed. So Midlothian is kind of like Mansfield in the regard that like most of the traffic has been coming in from like Dallas, Waxahachie, and like the Arlington, Grand Prairie area. But Midlothian originally started off as like a concrete processing area. That's their biggest exporter in industry is concrete over there. So it was very blue collar. It was very working class. It was very like down to earth. And they very much kept that feel whenever they started building up. They're in a great spot with the highways going through them, so tons of commerce, tons of travel and tourism. I mean, maybe not tourism to Midlothian, but they stop there along the way. To be fair, it is growing, but it is still it has that small town feel to it. Things are a little bit more spaced out, so you're not going to be, within spitting distance of your neighbor or anything like that. So if you're looking for a little bit more elbow room, maybe a slightly slower pace of life, Midlothian's a great spot to look. And they've got a ton of brand new, houses, infrastructure, and all this other stuff that is coming to Midlothian. But it's definitely a smaller town feel. I'll give it that. Now, one thing that's really important, especially for people that are moving here, are schools. It's actually one of the top asked questions that we get, and one of the first things that comes out of people's mouths whenever they ask us about an area. What are the schools like? It's understandable. You want your kids to go to a good school. Mansfield and Midlothian both blow any of their neighbors out of the water. A-rated school districts across the board. Midlothian's is slightly better. And now I think that's almost ironic because these are smaller towns, and typically smaller towns, their school districts don't rate as well, usually just because of a lack of funding or personnel or resources, things like that. But these guys saw education first and really took that to heart. So you're not going to find any bad schools here. All of the public schools are A-rated. We get our ratings off of niche.com. So if you want to do your own research or, delve into that rabbit hole, go check them out. I'm not actually a school rater or anything. So, take that with a grain of salt, but they are very well rated on niche.com. People have a lot of great things to say about them. And it's actually one of the biggest advertising campaigns for the people who are building all the new homes here. Oh, look at Midlothian ISD. Look at Mansfield ISD. They're great. And they are. So you're not going to be hurting there at all. The kids are going to have everything they need and then some. So what's daily life actually like in these areas? Well, for Mansfield, it's pretty easy. It's a much more suburban setup. So you've got your typical to and from work flow inside the city, but a lot of people in Mansfield, like I said, they're usually higher up management or C-suite executive style. So a lot of them actually go into work, like in downtown, I'm sorry. They go into downtown and stuff like that for work, which is why it's such a popular area for stuff like that, because of the quick access. So you got people that'll take the 287 up to the 67 into Dallas and the 287 up into Fort Worth. And there's a lot of large businesses like, Chase, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs and stuff like that in the downtown area. So you'll get a lot of people from those companies actually coming and living out here just because of the short drive time. And then there's also the work from home aspect. Mansfield is very well equipped as far as like cell signal, internet access. There's a couple of fiber neighborhoods out there actually. So a lot of the work from home people actually trend towards Mansfield if they're going into the south side of the metroplex. All in all, really good setup. Now, Midlothian is a little bit different. So you'll still get some people that move out there for they work in Dallas or Fort Worth or Grand Prairie, something like that. But a lot of the people living in Midlothian, usually their day consists of, staying within Midlothian. It's a smaller town, but it's very centralized. So a lot of the industry stays in Midlothian. Now, that may change here in the future. There is a lot of development going in, and it's going to attract more people, especially as urban expansion continues onioning outward. But at the moment, a lot of it stays very local. Obviously, you'll have a couple of people here and there that go in and out of the city as needed, but not anywhere near as much as you would see in Mansfield. Now, as far as groceries and things like that go, Mansfield, they're going to have a lot of the stuff that you need. You've got your Walmarts, H-E-Bs, Krogers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's all pretty centralized to downtown Mansfield, so most people can usually just go in there and within like 5-10 minutes of wherever you are in Mansfield, you can get the things you need and get back to your house. Midlothian, you're going to have to go a little bit further. There's a lot more mom and pops, convenience stores and things like that. There is like a Super Walmart, a Sam's Club, and a couple other things there. So you're not going to be hurting, but you're not going to have quite as many grocery resources as you would in Mansfield. Now, I will say one of the upsides of Midlothian's infrastructure is a lot of their stuff is more geared towards the people that live in that city. So you've got more like I think there's an Atwoods, a Tractor Supply, things like that. So if you've got more agricultural or industrial interests, this is they're a little bit more well equipped for stuff like that. As far as recreation goes in the area, besides like, your shops, restaurants, things like that, one of the biggest attractions to this area is actually going to be the lake. So Joe Pool Lake right here kind of bisects Midlothian and Mansfield and is just north of both of them. There's a lot of stuff to do here. So if you're an outdoorsy type, you're going to be in heaven, I promise. This lake, first of all, is one of my favorites. The only downside I will say is you can't build on this lake. It's an Army Corps of Engineer lake, which means that they own the lake up to a certain point, but you can have neighborhoods near the lake, just not built out onto it. And the reason for that is because it's all natural green space. They have a couple of public facilities and a ton of parks. So you've got the Cedar Hill State Park over here, Estes Park. If we zoom here on the map here, you see there's a bunch of green spaces, and actually if I go to satellite view, you can get a better idea of it. So you can see here there's neighborhoods that go up and close to it, and like kind of, they're on the other side of the road from the green spaces and the parks and a couple of bridges, but for the most part it's all like park and public land. So you've got tons of campgrounds, you've got trails, you've got like boating areas. So that's not it, that's a dam. But you've got like boat ramps and stuff like that, because this is a big recreational lake. You can see they've got the marinas everything over here. This one's one of my favorite because it's so big that it never feels crowded. Even whenever there is a ton of people, and trust me, there are a ton of people that go to Joe Pool Lake all of the time, especially here in Texas. Or especially with how hot it gets in here in Texas. Obviously, it's in Texas. But it never ever felt crowded whenever we went there. Actually, so much so to a point where we had our boat break down while we were in the middle of the lake somewhere around here, and we had parked our car somewhere down on this end. I forget where the boat ramp actually is. I think it's by the bridge here, but we had a ways to go, suffice to say, and no engine power. So we had a couple of our guys get out and kind of swim like sled dogs, pulling a cable behind them, until this one guy on a jet ski actually came up and rang for help for us. And then we got towed in by a guy on a pontoon. It was a bit of a disaster, but I very vividly remember that. And it, like, that's how big it is. It's so big that you won't run into people unless you're trying to. So that's one of the bigger draws here. And another one, if you like water but you don't like big water, I get it. The the aquaphobia, hydrophobia is kicking in, then maybe Hawaiian Falls is a better fit for you. So we can see actually a couple of things here. We got Hawaiian Falls. It's a really big attraction. If you don't know, it's a water park, basically. They've got all kinds of slides and, splash pads, wave pools, et cetera, to keep you cool during the summer. You've also got a lot of sports down in Mansfield. Like I said, Mansfield didn't used to be quite as built up as it is now. So one of the things you'll notice with small boom towns like this, or Salina, or Anna, Texas, is they are very sports oriented. I don't know if there's a correlation there. It just kind of happens that way. But they've also got a very beefy sports complex up here just next to the south end of the lake. It's right on the edge of Mansfield. You've also got golf courses throughout here because it's big open land. Somebody had to use it for golf. So if you're a big golf nut, there's a few of those around here. You'll have to ask Tom about the golf specifics. I'm not much of a golfer myself. But for those of you that enjoy the outdoors, you're going to be right at home at both Mansfield or Midlothian. Now, for anyone who's ever actually considered moving to the DFW area, aside from being a very cost-effective option, you also have a ton of options as far as housing goes with Mansfield or Midlothian. One of the upsides to Mansfield, I will say, is if you're looking for a townhome in kind of a small town feel area, this is one of the few places that you can get it because, well, first of all, townhomes aren't huge in Texas. So if that's something that you're looking for, like a low maintenance, well-insured building, or maybe you got like aging parents that don't want to do a bunch of yard work, you don't need a bunch of space to vacuum, it can be really difficult to find something that isn't just, densely packed deep in the heart of downtown. If that's more your speed, Mansfield actually offers stuff like that, which I think is honestly incredible because you wouldn't look at it on a map and be like, oh yeah, that's where I would find townhomes. That being said, that's a very small portion of Mansfield, not trying to sell it like it's only got townhomes. They've got all kinds of housing. So obviously single family residence, like your typical separated house, is they've got basically everything from, brand new in the high 300s all the way up to 1 million plus. I mean, the sky's the limit whenever it comes to the top end of things. But notable builders too, everything from Tri-Point, Perry, Highland, John Houston, all these guys are building down here. They see the value in it because there's a ton of infrastructure and commerce coming to this area as well. Not to derail too much, but Tyler Perry was actually going to open the Super Studios down here. We were going to call it Ye Hollywood or Yollywood or something like that. Either way, it hasn't happened yet, but it's been in the works for a couple of years, and he's slowly building it. But they see that this is going to be a big economic opportunity for him, and so they've started putting down every house imaginable. So you've got a broad range of products to pick from and a broad range of price points that should fit basically anyone's needs. If you are looking for a little bit extra off the top, and maybe you're not too worried about the bells and whistles about some of the neighborhoods, Midlothian also has a lot of great builders for an even better price point. So this is kind of one of those early bird gets the worm situations, because like I said, Midlothian's still growing. It's got a lot in it, but it's not quite as built up as its neighbor. So a lot of people defer towards Mansfield given the opportunity, but Midlothian is definitely where it's at. If we check a trend on the MLS here, I'll let you guys take a quick sneak peek. You can see this is I've got it filtered out for new homes at the moment. You can see there's a bunch around Mansfield, and we'll talk about these neighborhoods and actually look at a couple of these so you guys can get an idea of like what the back end looks like. Because I don't know if you've noticed, Zillow's been dropping a lot of listings lately. So to get the most up-to-date stuff, we always reference the MLS. Like I know a lot of people love Zillow. It's easy to access, but it's not always accurate. So we're going to take a look at this, but you should see Midlothian is just blowing up right now. There is a ton. This is right about where Midlothian starts. This is Goodland, and we'll get there in a minute. It's a really cool neighborhood, but suffice to say, you've got a huge range of houses, and you can get a lot of bang for your buck in Midlothian as well. I'll say some of the neighborhoods, I mean, there's some great neighborhoods with amenities. There are some neighborhoods that are just, if you're just looking for a house, there's plenty of those as well. But for an extra 10 minutes drive to save $50,000 off my house, yeah, you bet your ass I'm going to Midlothian. So anyway, talking about those neighborhoods, I actually do want to take a look at some of these because I want to mention a few of my favorites in each of the areas. Some of the ones that we've been to personally. Tom and I have done a ton of videos on Mansfield and Midlothian. It's a very desirable area, and people want to know a lot about it because there's not much to look at on the internet. So we've had the privilege of actually going out there and filming a lot of these neighborhoods, and I feel like that's given us a really good perspective on what life there is like. And honestly, so far, I'm very impressed. So the very first one I actually want to point out is it's actually one of Tom's favorites. This one is M3 Ranch. So if we, let's see, this should be it right here. Yeah. So M3 Ranch is this master plan community. They're on phase 5, I want to say right now, but they've got this huge amenity center set up with this awesome like crescent style pool, a big green space next to it, a dog park, and it's all dolled up really nicely. They've got like these decorative panels, and it's got that wood and red steel vibe to it, but they did it up really nicely, and that's all in the heart of the neighborhood. The cool thing about this one is a lot of amenity center get put in phase 1 of a development, which means for all the people that got there early and got a house at the front of the neighborhood, great, you're within walking distance of the amenities center. For anyone who got in phase 13, well, you might hope you got a really good bike or want to burn a little bit of gas because it's going to be a drive for you. These guys thought ahead. Whenever they built the neighborhood, they put the amenity center smack dab in the middle, which seems like a duh thing, but a lot of builders and developers don't do that. So I would say that's definitely one of the merits to this neighborhood is the fact that they planned ahead and they got some very credible builders in there as well. Like, I mean, none of the builders we're going to be looking at are not credible necessarily. It's just they got some very top quality builders. You've got Perry Homes. Obviously, we've got one of their houses open. They're a very good builder. You've got Highland Homes. There's also American Legend. So you may know them as Grand Homes, depending on where you're from. Grand Homes is like their luxury line, and they make a really good. This is like American Legend is like their production line, and it's still a really good house as well. So not exactly small names. But if we take a look here, I actually do want to look at some of the houses. So this is Perry. Perry's a very notable builder. I'm not exactly sure how prolific they may be in your area, but they do a really good job around the DFW area. So their stuff is, I would describe it as timeless. So nothing about them is super flash, bang, wow, or, there's nothing trendy or faddish about their stuff. It's humble, it's subtle, but it's all very good quality. I had a couple of clients I was taking through a Perry home one time, and like the photos seemed a little underwhelming to them, but as soon as they walked in, it was like, oh, I get it now. There's like this sense of grandness that comes with their houses. But yeah, really, really tall ceilings, high base boards, frameless windows. So you get like the picture style windows here. They do like 2-inch granite or quartz in the kitchen. The fireplace is a little bit simple in this one, but a lot of their stuff is just very light. Bold is how I like to describe it. So yeah, they did. Wow, that's a lot of windows. I hope you like lighting. So you're getting a really good kitchen setup. This is a gas neighborhood as well. I know that's a really big thing for people. Some people never think about it until they go from a gas neighborhood to an electric neighborhood, and they hate their lives unless you got a really good electric oven or electric stove. But most people, they'll get something about the same grade as their gas stove, and they are sorely disappointed. So yeah, you get like standing tubs, things like that. So these are really pretty houses. And like I said, the build quality on these are phenomenal. Let's see if we can get one of the other builders. So this is John Houston. Actually, I think that's a different neighborhood. Let's not jump to that one just yet. That one's also Perry. Let's see. Highland, man. If you haven't heard about Highland, man, they are probably one of my favorite builders as far as production builders go. They just make, honestly, a phenomenal product. They make a very pretty product. I'll give them that. Like, obviously, the build quality is good, but the house that they build, it just has like this, I don't know. I've seen other builders try and do it, and it's just something's not quite there. Whatever it is, they got it. So here, this looks like a little breakfast nook. Here's your entryway. You're going to get like really high ceilings. This is probably that's an 8-foot door, so you probably got a 10-foot ceiling in your hallway here. Top quality granite. They've got like a decorative fireplace here. All the fixtures are really nice. I think this is just LVP, so this may be a slightly lower grade flooring here, but the rest of the stuff they put in their house is great. I think the word I would use to describe their house is pretty. Like, specifically pretty. I don't know why. That's just the word that comes to mind when I think of their stuff. And then let's see if we can get an American Legend home. Come on, there's got to be one of you. Oh, that's a used home. We're not going to do that. Hey, there we go. All right, so one that's... Oh, these are all renders. Hopefully they got photos. No, they may not. All right, that's unfortunate. American Legend Homes has a lot of the same floor plan styles as Grand Homes, and if you know anything about them, their stuff is a lot more flamboyant, is a good way to describe it. Not in a bad way. They put a lot more flair into their houses than a lot of the other production style builders. So even with American Legend, their production line, you're still getting a lot of that architectural flair. Like, let's see here. Like, obviously they're huge homes. It's a 3,200 square foot house. You got 4 beds, 4 bath. So this 3-car garage. I think the last one had a spiral staircase. They put quite a bit of pizzazz into their houses. So you're not going to go wrong with anything like that. And honestly, in a neighborhood like this, all the houses are going to be great. One of the other neighborhoods that I almost showed you guys a second ago is Somerset. Now, Somerset is in a really good spot. So it's right here off of the 287, and you can literally see it from some of the houses at the front of the neighborhood. That being said, there's so much space between you and the highway that you don't hear it, and I think that's the most important part. It's almost up on like a hill, so it deflects a lot of the noise. I don't know if they did that intentionally or they just got lucky, but as you come into this neighborhood, what happens is you take this exit and make this big sweeping turn around this giant water feature with these fountains, and it's got like this big turreted like princess style tower that has Somerset across the front of it. And then they've got like 3 or 4 really good builders here. So let's see, check my notes here. Somerset has John Houston Homes selling at the moment, but I know that they had Perry Homes previously, and they had Bloomfield, and I want to say Chesmar was out there as well, but They are getting to the end of their production here, so it's just John Houston, as far as I know, still selling off the last of their homes. We haven't shown their stuff yet, but we can go ahead and jump into one of them. There's a Bloomfield, so you guys can get a look at this. So Bloomfield was one of the builders here. Bloomfield is known for building really big houses. So here's almost 3,500 square feet. You got a 4-bed, 4-bath. For about $600,000, which isn't bad. I mean, honestly, the price per square foot is still a little high here, but like in DFW in general, but it's come down a lot. A lot of these houses were going for like $200,000 a square foot. So it's becoming a lot more affordable, especially with interest rates and the market being the way it is. But Bloomfield makes a really nice house. I like they use texture to kind of break things up. So they'll keep things that may be the same color, and then they'll just put different textures next to each other. So it kind of tricks your eye into thinking that it's something else, even though it may all be one color. So you can kind of see here, you got 9-foot ceilings as soon as you walk in, a nice, really big office space. And I'm a huge fan of the wood-like tile as well. That's one of the things that I think looks amazing in houses. So Bloomfield has a lot of 2-story houses, so if you like having the kids upstairs and away, maybe keep all the noise and toys and mess away from the family areas, they've got a lot of options for that. Big loft areas, big theater setups. These are like 21-foot ceilings probably. This over here is kind of like tucked away. This is where your master is going to be, as well as the garage entrance. Kitchen setup's really nice. Nothing over the top, but you got decorative panels, you got the upgraded island and everything. It looks good. And then big master bedrooms. That's a shower. Yeah. So if space is what you're looking for, Bloomfield's a really good option and very cost effective as well. But let's check out one of those John Houston homes. That's a Bloomfield home. So John Houston, I will say I'm not as familiar with their product as I am some of the others. I've been in a couple of their houses, and they're really nice. But let's take a look here and kind of go through this together, because I haven't seen this floor plan. I do really like that little almost rotunda style tray ceiling up there. So you've got like this entryway here. This is probably like either a dining room or an office, and then you got whatever the opposite is over there. Yeah, so that's the office. And then across the hall, you've probably got like a dining room. But okay, so this is the living room here. You got your entryway over here. Man, I do actually like this setup. It's nice. So you get a little bit of separation here with the decorative drop down and everything, but you still get the high ceilings on both sides, and it's still one big open area. So it kind of helps lend itself as separation with the eye without actually blocking anything. Okay. Yeah, this is a really nice setup. Yeah. So John Houston's in a couple of these neighborhoods here. If that's your style of house, you'll be able to see a couple of them as well. But moving on to a neighborhood where they have a little bit more inventory. If you go right across the highway here, you've got what's called South Point. Now, South Point is huge. It's broken up into like 4 different sub neighborhoods. They've got it's like Mitchell Farms, South Point, and I think that there's like 2 others. I forget the names of them, but they're all technically part of South Point. One of the cool things about them is that Coventry Homes is building out there. Now, Coventry's got a more farmhouse with a flair style to their houses. So, well, they don't have a lot of photos on that one. Maybe they've got one that's... I may not be able to show you one of their houses, unfortunately. Those are grand homes. Okay. So Coventry's out there. Like I said, little farmhouse with a flair, but they make a wide range of products. So if you like more the timey 2000s look, or you're looking for something a little bit more modern, they can accommodate a lot of that pretty easily. So Grand Homes is, like I said before, the luxury line of American Legend Homes, and luxury with a capital L. You can see it starts with the 1 million, but if this is your price point, you can get stuff like this. That's some Sound of Music looking shit right there. Yeah, I mean, they doll up their model homes a lot with, obviously you've got a lot of decorative items, but they do make a really pretty house. A lot of their stuff kind of elicits that wow factor. Yeah, you can see high ceilings. You got the vaults over here, tons of built-in lighting. Wow, very decorative tray ceiling. So, yeah, if you want formal with a flair, this is the way to go. And so they're up here towards the beginning. I know that Grand Homes is down to their last few homes, though. So they're not really building out there anymore. And I think Coventry's a little low in inventory as well. The ones that are still pushing out homes at the moment, David Weekley has their own section all the way at the back right next to the school. So if you want to be within walking distance of the local, what is that? Actually, so that is Heritage Parkway. Oh, I guess it's not showing up on Google. There's a school like right here. I'm not exactly sure which one it is, but all of these, you're just right across the way from it. And you've also got, I think this is Tri-Point. Yeah, Tri-Point homes. So these are very much more production style homes. Tri-Point built a pretty big house, but this is, you're going to get builder grade stuff. It's going to be nice, but you're not going to get a lot of selection with stuff like this. So if you're just looking for a house to put on a lot, a nice house, mind you, but you don't want to deal with the hassle of, color selections and things like that. They've got a color package you pick, everything matches, everything looks good, and you can get into a house really quickly with these guys. But David Weekley is a name that you more than likely already know. And honestly, I'm a huge fan of their steel floor plan. It's one of my favorites. I don't think this is it, but they've got very fun floor plans. I'll call it that. Oh, no photos of the inside of the house? Lame. Hold on. All right, we may not be able to... Okay, yeah, no photos of the... Those are all renders. That sucks. I'd love to show you guys those. But anyway, so they make a very fun house. So if those are the things you're looking for, those are a few good neighborhoods to pick from. One other one, if you've got a little bit more green to spend, is Rockwood. Now, this is a very simple neighborhood. They don't have a lot of amenities. It's like walking trails and some parks. But what they do have are really big cost-effective houses. So this one was Drees Custom Homes and Our Country Homes, I want to say, or Coventry Homes, one of the two. I think Coventry sold their stuff to Bloomfield. So Bloomfield's out here making really big houses in basically a luxury neighborhood. And then the other one, because you already saw Bloomfield, we're not going to deal with that. Let's see if we can find a Drees real quick. Drees may have already sold out, but Drees makes basically not custom homes. I mean, they do make custom homes, but like their production style home is like, there's one. It's like one notch below what you expect with like a $1 million custom home. So you can get a lot of really cool architectural flair and grandeur for a lot less. So yeah, you see big double sliding glass doors, transom windows, decorative beams, giant kitchen and living room setup, tandem bar, the works. No, they make great houses. And so if this is more like your style, you got a little bit more dough to throw around, you can get quite a bit of really nice house with these guys. That being said, their houses are big. So this is a 3,000 square foot plan. It's all single story too. So you're going to need like probably a 70-foot lot. Yeah, that's a 90-foot lot right there. So you're going to need a big piece of land, and they do a build on your lot situation. So if you end up picking up a lot in one of these neighborhoods or in this area, they can help you out with that. But as far as Mansfield goes, you kind of get an idea. Everything's really big. Everything's very suburban, and it feels like everyone's just kind of having a measuring contest with each other out there. C-suites types, they're probably pretty competitive. So if you want something a little bit slower paced, but you still want a really nice house, this is why I suggest Midlothian. For the first thing you're going to see whenever you walk into Midlothian, or whenever you drive into Midlothian, more than likely, especially if you're coming from Fort Worth, is called Goodland, Texas. Now, it used to be called Prairie Ridge, and I think our video on Goodland was also titled Prairie Ridge, because at the time it was. It's their rebranding is Goodland, and they're rebranding so hard they're trying to make themselves their own like township or city. So they may branch off at some point, but at the moment they're technically still Midlothian. But you've got, again, Grand Homes, so they've got a lot of houses available here, big houses. I do really like their houses. We could take another look. This one's a little plain because it's not the model, but those are 10-foot ceilings, winding staircase, transom windows, huge kitchen. I've seen that kitchen. It's like 20 feet across easily. But yeah, so they're in there. And another one that you haven't seen, and you won't see in any of the other neighborhoods, is Beezer Homes. Beezer's not quite as big as some of the others. So you'll see them in a couple of different neighborhoods, but they've got a very interesting floor plan layout. So their stuff is almost sideways is the best way I can describe it. So if you don't like the hyper typical, cookie cutter style house and you want something that's a little bit different from your neighbors, you go with these guys. They've got, so a lot of their stuff is like, not like sideways is the way I put it, because like their kitchens usually face the side, and this one's more of like galley style house where everything, or shotgun style house where everything goes front to back. But they've got some with like these big curving staircases that go around like these funky style or funky island styles in their kitchens. Man, they're making a liar out of me. They pulled out all the stops and went traditional with their floor plans in here. But anyway, they make a really good house as well. And I really do like they're kind of like Bloomfield in where they use like decorative texturing. Like this is herringbone right here, this style where they do the little V shape on the tiles. It just kind of creates a separation from the rest of the white around it. Kind of breaks up the pattern and everything. You've got like the plank style tile and everything. Like nothing in here is super over the top or expensive or anything like that, but it's like creative use of it gives it more oomph. And I think they do a really good job with that. And then you've also got, I think it's History Maker Homes. Yeah, let's see. Goodland has MI and History Maker. MI is a decent house, so they're a decent home builder as well. They do more of a production style build, so they do have some color options. Theirs are more like what are they, like levels? So it's silver, gold, platinum, and diamond, I want to say. So you pay for like upgrades and everything's like a colored palette. So again, it's going to match. You're looking for different finish outs. So if you want like maybe an upgraded kitchen or something, you'd have to buy like their gold package. They do more of that style building. And then you've got History Maker Homes, I think is down here. So here's an MI home. Let's see if they've got any photos of it. So these guys can be really cost effective if you want a house very quickly. They move fast. I'm actually working with a guy who's building one up in Saginaw right now, and I am honestly thoroughly surprised by how quickly they got through permitting, and within like weeks, this house was way further along than any of the other builders that I've dealt with. And then you've got History Maker Homes. These guys, again, more of a production style builder. They try and shoot for like the big house. Like if you just want space, these are the way to go, because this is your most cost effective option. You can see all of these like huge open areas, like 4 bedrooms, this one's what, 3,000 square feet. So if you just want a big house, you go with these guys. I mean, you're still getting really good finish outs. This is the model, so there may be some upgrades and things in here, but yeah. For those of you that have just been popping out kids, you're gonna have plenty of room in one of these houses, and they've got a whole little section down by the south end here. So you've got an amenity center. I want to say it's like right here. So you're not too far away. If you're at the south end here, you just take the road, maybe a 4 or 5 minute drive. Not even actually. Hold on, that's not Google Maps. Anyway, I'm not going to map it out for you. It's not that far. I've driven up and down here a couple of times. You could probably walk it. I'd say take a bike. Yeah, I'm just rambling. We don't need to include all that. We can just skip the drive time part for the amenity center. So if I zoom in here. So this is an amenity center right here. They kind of did it right and kept it more towards the center of the neighborhood. But one of the cool things is the highway over here can be kind of noisy. So what they did, they set the neighborhood all the way back here. You got like a, I don't know, half mile to 3/4 of a mile stretch where it's just green space. And then by the time you get out here, you don't hear anything. So they were really smart about that, especially since they knew that this was a pretty busy road. One more neighborhood that's tucked away right next to the highway is West Side Preserve. Now, this is a very new neighborhood. They've gotten some houses on the ground, but the thing that really blew me away about this was how many builders were in this neighborhood, and they're all relatively around the same price point. So this one, you've got Pulte Homes, you've got Kindred Homes, there's let's see, it's Brightland Homes and Chesmar, and I think there's actually one other builder, or maybe Pulte just has 2 model homes. We've got a video on that one as well, where you can go check out all of the builders' houses that they have down. And the only reason I say that is because right now on the MLS, it looks like Chesmar has a lot, Pulte has a bunch of houses, and then Brightland has a house down somewhere as well. So we haven't shown a Brightland yet. Let's take a look at one of theirs. These guys do like an upscale production house. They do a production house with really good finish outs. So you can see, like, this is the model again. There's going to be upgrades, but you got like big picture style window frames, transom windows. This is also coming back in. If you like wood grain, the 70s are back. They're in a slightly different shade of brown, but they are coming back. So you get a decent sized house with a pretty traditional floor plan, some tray ceilings, decorative items, things like that. Nothing crazy, but I say their stuff is very affordable for what you're paying for it compared to some of the other builders that throw things at their house. I feel like you're getting a lot more bang for your buck there. Pulte's another one where you can get like a kind of a fun floor plan. Like, they're very cost effective as well. So I think that's one of the things I like about them is that you're not going to break the bank to get, because listen to me, like whenever you get a new house, you're going to look at that base price tag and be like, oh, I can afford that. And then you go to like the design center or the option center or whatever they call it. And then you throw 40 grand at your house just to make it look like how you actually want it to look. Or if you don't, you're going to get like this bare bones carpet, tile, and white wall house that just doesn't feel quite as homey as what you envisioned. And so I think that kind of screws a lot of people over. With Pulte, I feel like you get a lot more than with a lot of other builders. Like, you can throw a lot more at the house and still keep it cost effective. Like here we've got, like, this is obviously an upgraded elevation with the stone water line and everything. You got upgraded floorings. All these cabinets are really nice. You're not just getting, cheap stuff with no hardware. So that's one thing I do really like about them. Like, you can see here, they don't have like picture frame windows or anything. I mean, this is a bedroom, but they've got like, the older style cross frame windows, but it still looks really nice. Like, they're not cheaping out, but they are being very smart with where they put their stuff. So I'll give them that. One last one I want to show you guys about Midlothian if you're trying to take down some notes, or actually this one, Licks of Summercrest, they're basically done. It's Perry and First Texas Homes. First Texas Homes, again, they make a really big house, but that's about it. Bridgewater. Let's talk about Bridgewater. Is this them? I think this is them. That's the Grove. So that's another neighborhood that's kind of closing out. This is it, Bridgewater. So Bridgewater on the south side of Midlothian is huge. You can see it spans like basically the distance of downtown in one neighborhood, and it's built up of like 5 different builders. You've got Highland Homes, John Houston Homes, Perry Homes, Tri-Point, actually 6, because you got American Legend and Bloomfield over there as well. And this was some huge to do. We actually did a video on it as well, like way early on. We really should redo that because they built a lot since then. It was nothing whenever we went out there. They were working on the amenity center. It was just like the covered picnic area, and that was about it. But they've got obviously that covered picnic area, which has like built-in gas grills. You've got a little amphitheater set up, a big green space where they put out picnic tables and lighting in the center of the neighborhood. It all looks really nice. You got parks dotted throughout the neighborhood as well. But one of the coolest things about this one is they set it up for food trucks, which sounds kind of weird. Some of these neighborhoods do it, but it's actually been very successful in places like Harvest, Pecan Square, Walsh Ranch, like these really big names that we talk about a lot on the channel. It's become almost a staple of master plan communities like this one because people love it. It's not just like a gut truck coming into the neighborhood looking all ratty or anything like that. These are going to be like big name restaurants that'll send out these food trucks to these HOA sanctioned events and things like that, so they can be used for catering. Sometimes you'll just have like a coffee food truck that comes by, so you can get your Pete's coffee or your Dutch Bros coffee in the morning while just walking on the trail. So I think it's a really cool setup. But just to take a look at some of the houses here. You saw one of the Perry homes earlier. This is a Highland home. Let's see if we can get one of the other ones. So you saw a Tri-Point. Actually, did we see a Tri-Point home? I think we saw a Tri-Point home. Maybe. So they're that production style builder. They've got like color packs that you pick from. Nothing crazy, but they're a very cost effective option. And I mean, they know what they're doing. They put down houses pretty quick as well. So if you need something lickety split, they got you. We got another Bloomfield home. So they're going to be bigger houses. Come on, let me get something that I haven't seen before. Let me get another John Houston. We haven't seen too many of them. Okay. Anyway. But yeah, so with names like Perry and, there's American Legend. Yeah, names like Perry, American Legend, Highland Homes. It's a very grand neighborhood, and there's a lot of really big houses. Honestly, it's beautiful. I went there about a month ago with some clients that were looking in the area, and it just kind of blew me away because the very first time we went there, I'm not gonna lie, it was winter, everything was brown and dead, and it was really dreary. There's so much construction, dirt everywhere, and the tree line was just kind of messed up. But the last time I went out there, it just completely changed my mind. I was honestly ready to write it off. I was like, wow, this place looks a little rough, but it was just, wow. There was so much greenery, so much like neighborhood activity, people walking around, riding their bikes, a couple of golf carts and stuff like that going to and from the amenities center. It's a really nice thing. It's tucked away right across from a kind of like a, I don't even know what you call it. It's like a mix between a gas station, convenience store, and small grocery store. So you can just go across the street here on this little underpass under the highway there and basically get all your grocery items right there. So pretty sweet setup. And there's a ton of development coming in this direction too. Plus, for those private pilots, I'm sure you saw it, we're right next to Midway Regional Airport. So a lot of people here are actually, what's it called? Private pilot's license, PPL certified. So which one of these is right for you guys? Well, if you're looking for, big city feel without all the hustle and bustle, Mansfield's the way to go. You're going to pay a little extra for it, but I promise it's worth it. If you're looking for more of that small town feel without having to give up all the creature comforts of the more urban areas, Midlothian is honestly a very safe bet. Now, you really can't go wrong with either of these, but if they didn't meet the criteria that you guys are looking for, maybe they're just a little too far away. Hey, it happens. No worries. We got videos on other neighborhoods as well, so by all means, check out the playlist that we're going to have linked here somewhere, I'm sure. We're going to cover all sorts of stuff, master plan communities, stuff in different parts of the metroplex. So if there's anywhere that you want to know about, we probably have already covered it. That being said, I know we saw all those houses, you saw some of the price points, and you're like, Jack, that's only half of the information. We still need to know what things like taxes are going to be like in this area, because that can greatly affect whether you choose one spot or another, because 500,000 here versus 500,000 where it's like 3% tax rate could really screw over your monthly payment. I'll say right now, Mansfield and Midlothian both have lower tax rates than the rest of the metroplex. So Dallas, you're looking at like a 2.5. DFW, I think, is like 2.43. So you're going to float around that like 2.3 to 2.5% around most of the metroplex. Now, Mansfield is, I believe, 2.1, and then Midlothian is 2%. Now, that's in the city, and Mansfield City proper and Midlothian City proper are both very small. So you can get outside of the city limits very easily with some of these neighborhoods and get down, I think in some places in Midlothian, you can get 1% if you're not inside city limits. So very cost-effective option for people who may be, monthly payment conscious whenever it comes to stuff like that. And we honestly get a lot of this information just from going around, talking to all these reps, digging into information online, using the resources like the MLS that we have to get all this information for you guys to hopefully make it a little bit easier to digest through video content. But if you are looking to move to the area, we also help out people every day, not just with new homes. I know we kind of cover those because they look pretty, but we also work with pre-existing homes as well. So if you're looking to move to the area, go ahead, give us a shout. If you're not ready to move just yet, don't worry. We can set you guys up with a customized search. We're actually going to have a link in the description where you can go check out some of the resources we have online. We've got everything from searching by neighborhoods and locations and builders to new home buyers guides, or if you're looking to list, we've got sellers guides as well, so you know everything you need to know before you move, instead of trying to do this stuff baptism by fire. It makes it a little bit easier for those people who plan ahead. But as always, if you are looking to buy or sell, remember to keep calm and call Tom.